And away we go on a Tuesday morning. He is Mark Malusis. I am Keith Arizari. It's Moose and Keith. It's Bettor Sports Network. And I did not get the memo today about it being tie day. Apparently, this to me visually looks like this is like bring your son to work day, and you're all dressed up. Your dad. I'm the kid that was fighting you tooth and nail. I'm like, Dad, I just want to wear a t-shirt. Why do I have to dress up nice to go to your job?
Yeah,
so that's where we are. How are you, man?
I'm good. I ran out of hair product. That's the disappointing.
Yeah, me too.
So I know. All you do it on a daily basis.
I ran out of hair product 13 years ago.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But so I'm a little disappointed I don't have the hair product. My hair's not really on point this morning. So that's I gotta head to the old CVS or Walgreens, whatever it might be, and go get myself a little bit more axe. But aside from that, everything's good.
What do you gel? What do you put in your hair?
It's like a paste.
You do? Oh, you do the paste. Okay. Yeah. So we're making a switch for Austin. So Austin changed my 12-year-old changed his haircut a little bit.
Yeah.
So he used the paste forever, right?
Nice.
We're switching to the texture powder.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, it's supposed to be better with like the messy look.
Okay.
And that's like the new thing now for these 12 and 13-year-old boys. All the basketball player kids are doing like this, like it's not long hair. It's kind of like your hair, but it ends up going a little bit forward and it's like the messy look.
Okay.
So that's what he's rocking with. So the texture powder is next on the list. I don't know how we got into this, but that's what you get.
That's it. Well, I brought up the fact my hair is not on point this morning, so I apologize about that. But well, right after the show, I got a dentist appointment. Then I got to go right down to PIX later on this afternoon, and do my TV job. So, but we're here and we're doing this. And yes, I'm wearing a tie and you're wearing a t-shirt. You look a lot more comfortable than I do. But we got plenty to get into and plenty to chat about over the course of the next couple hours.
Yeah. So I want to get into at some point, Joel Embiid. Is he trolling us with his conversations? Because on Twitter, his middle name is Troll. We'll talk about that. Shohei Ohtani continues to absolutely rake, and the New York Yankees were just salivating last night, imagining if he were hitting home runs on the other side for them actually instead of against them. But I think we start with the NFL, right? Yesterday, we had the franchise tag deadline of signing those franchise tags, and Saquon, no. Josh Jacobs, no. And Tony Pollard doesn't get a long-term extension. Pollard, we know, can still play on the $10.1 million deal. But you and I are both in New York. You cover the Giants during the NFL season, and now too. But during the NFL season, you're pretty close to that organization, working for the networks that you do. Saquon not getting his long-term deal. For a guy that accounted for about 40% of the offense, this feels disrespectful to me. And I know that on the grander scale, $10 million is nothing to scoff at, and that every quote-unquote normal human being would love to have it. But on an NFL scale, it feels like he should get paid for what he did last year and what he's meant to this organization.
Yeah, but it's listen, I'm not going to knock what Barkley is as a player, and he's a top 3 running back when he's healthy. He's had an issue staying healthy over the course of his career, and the Giants played the game. I mean, they had offers to him and had discussions with him, and it came down to guaranteed money. And they talked to him during the course of the regular season. They told him basically, if you turn this down, that money might not be there when we come back to the negotiating table. And, that money wasn't. And he's looking, as he said, he didn't want to reset the market. But, the running back, a couple of things were working against Barkley. Number one is he doesn't play the most important position in the NFL. Once Daniel Jones got paid, that limited what he could make and enabled the Giants to use the franchise tag on Saquon Barkley, locking him in for that, right around $10.1 million number here in 2023. And the position in the National Football League, when you look at running back, has been devalued, which everyone's talking about. Now, no one's telling you that, running the football is not important, but it doesn't come down to one singular individual. It's not a matter of the star running back. You can go out there and find quality runners in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round. Use them as they see fit, as you see fit as an organization. Don't necessarily need to give them that secondary contract and then move on and find that next guy coming out of college and represents cheap options. I mean, that's just the way that it is in the National Football League. So, Yeah, Barkley's an unbelievable young man, on the field and off the field. He was looking to try and get as much money as he possibly can. But the Giants were, also running a business, and Joe Shane's not going to let the emotions come into play here. He doesn't play the most important position. I think the most important player for the Giants when it comes to success, taking that step forward in 2023, is the quarterback in Daniel Jones, who proved a lot of naysayers wrong. So that's why Saquon Barkley right now is sending out a tweet. It is what it is. I think Barkley's going to be there week one. I don't know if Barkley will be there day one, July 25th, when the Giants open up training camp and veterans need to be there. I don't know if Barkley's going to necessarily be there then. But I do think he'll be there week one of the NFL regular season because, Barkley's going to have another scenario where he has to have a big year and then see exactly how the chips fall after the season. Could this be the last year of him in a Giant uniform? Yeah,
Yeah.
could the Giants tag him once again next offseason? Yeah, that's on the table, as well if you're Saquon Barkley. But he joins. I mean, Josh Jacobs got tagged. I mean, Tony Pollard got tagged. Both those guys were not able to reach long-term deals with their respective organizations. I think we come down to it. Not only, do you not draft running backs high in the NFL draft, according to a lot of people, but then you don't compound the issue and pay those running backs, for the most part, unbelievable amounts of money long term and with significant guaranteed money, because in the end, you're going to really hamstring your organization.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look back at like the Todd Gurleys of the world, right? Sign the big contract and then never live up to it. And that's kind of the issue for the running back spot, is that no one has ever really lived up to those massive, guaranteed deals. And that's why the running backs are going to get it. Something needs to be fixed. I don't know if this is a union thing. I don't know what it is, but it does feel, I know it's a business and you shouldn't say fair or unfair. It does feel a little unfair that these running backs are essentially used and abused for 4 or 5 years and then kind of cast aside, right? It has become it's a cycle. It is what it is, as Saquon would say, right? These organizations are going to use you. You're going to carry the ball 250 to 300 times or 300 touches, whatever it may be. And then the minute they can walk away from you, they will, and they'll bring in the next guy. And you're right. The Bijan Robinsons, the Jahmyr Gibbs of the world, they're outliers right now. Typically, we're not drafting running backs that high anymore. And if you are, the next thing you know, 5 years later, they're gone. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott is only 27 years old. He's not on a team. Dalvin Cook is 27 years old. He's technically not on a team right now. He will be. And Zeke will get on a team at some point too. But it's the nature of the beast right now.
Yeah, but Elliott's also a guy that showed you little to no burst a year ago with the Dallas Cowboys. So if you don't have
they used and abused him for 5 years. So he had
I get
5
it,
years.
but that's the position that he
I know.
plays. I mean,
so if I'm a running back, I'm not doing it. Now,
Well,
I think that could be the thing.
Right, go find another position to go play. I mean,
Well,
that's it. I mean, because there needs to be a monumental switch in the National Football League. The fact is, it's a passing league. And that's
but
where
Saquon is part of that passing game. So that's where like he felt him and like McCaffrey are a little different.
But his main job is running the football. I mean,
how many catches did Saquon have last year? 80?
Well, yeah. I mean, but he's not Christian McCaffrey. You're not lining him up in the slot, and he's not running routes to that level. I mean, he's not that kind of a receiver at the running back position. Yeah, he does catch the ball coming out of the backfield. I'm not telling you he doesn't. But the point being is that if you're an NFL running back, then what exactly you're a running back in college, you're a running back in high school. You come to the National Football League, puts more of an importance to try and get as much money as you possibly can. Listen, $10.1 million is nothing to scoff at. No. I mean, they're looking at, you're still making a significant amount of money. I know it's not the guaranteed money, and that was the arguing point. And, he wanted something north of the $22 million that the Giants, were their final position, their final offer. But in the end, the Giants and Joe Shane are going to do right by their organization. What is this league? It's a passing league. It's not a running league. It's a passing league. You saw an uptick last year because defenses got a little bit smaller. So you saw teams run the football a little bit more, especially teams with questionable quarterbacks or maybe quarterbacks that they didn't wholeheartedly trust. But in the end, you look at the main players to win a Super Bowl. they all have quarterbacks. San Francisco is a little bit of an outlier because of how talented the team is around them. But for the most part, whether it be Philadelphia, whether it be the Jets, whether it be the Bills, whether it be
Chiefs,
the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Cincinnati Bengals, you're kind of bullish on the Cleveland Browns this year as far as with Deshaun Watson knocking that ring rust off of him from a year ago and maybe playing like the top 5 quarterback he was. Deshaun Watson got the guaranteed money that he got. Why? Because when he was right and when he wasn't suspended by the National Football League, he was a top 5 quarterback in the league. You got to go out there and throw. It's better to be a receiver. Receivers get paid. Why? Because, it's a passing league. I mean, it just is. So, you want those game breakers and game changers. And I'm not saying Saquon Barkley isn't, but he plays the wrong position to get the kind of money that he's looking for. And I'm not rooting against him. I'm really not. It's just the facts of the way that the National Football League is handling their business right now. And most teams look at that position right now.
Yeah. See, if I were a parent of children playing tackle football, I would probably push them away from playing running back, right? Like, I think that maybe that sounds just too blanket statement because you said it. $10.1 million is still more money than any of us are ever going to see. So that's that. But it's just the whole comparison thing. But I will throw this out. If I'm an NFL running back, I don't know if I'm in my second year, if I'm playing through a sore hamstring anymore. Like, I think I'm taking days. I might take games off because it's not going to matter, right? You're going to pay me what the scale is anyway. You're not going to give me all the guaranteed money, whether I run for 1,800 yards or whether I run for 1,100 yards. If I'm helping the team win some games and get some yardage, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to get the same amount of money. So I don't like if Saquon plays this year, he ain't playing through injuries.
No, he
and I wouldn't if I was him.
The thing is about Barkley is I don't know if he necessarily. I don't think it's in his character.
I know he's not built like that. You're right.
I don't think he's in his character to play those kind of games. I just don't.
I would talk my agency. Like if I'm repping him, I'm talking to him though.
No, I get it, but he's also a guy that's looking to get paid too.
But he's not going to, right? Like that's what we're learning.
Well, he's going to get paid a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
He's not going to go out there and get exactly wholeheartedly what he's looking for right now. I mean, the contract Daniel Jones got in essence was a 2-year deal from the Giants. It's not like he got like a 6-year commitment from Big Blue. I mean, they can get out from underneath that contract in 2 years. I don't think it's in his nature to play those games of, well, I'm going to sit this game out, even though my hamstring maybe is at 95% because I'm not feeling wholeheartedly healthy. Because let's be honest, I mean, the entire league is also watching, whether he's with the Giants in 2024 or is with some other team. They want to make sure that they have a running back that is completely and utterly locked in. I don't think the injuries that Saquon Barkley suffered over the course of his career have helped him out. The burst is still there. Like, there's different guys. Like Dalvin Cook, let's be, 6 years in Minnesota was unbelievable, right? He really was. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler. He had an issue staying healthy. Dalvin Cook is looking to latch onto a team and maybe is willing to take a short, a 1-year deal where he's not getting the kind of money that he's looking for to prove it once again and enter the free agency marketplace next season. I don't know, but he's not going to get the money that he was going to get, that he was, looking to make and that he was about to get from the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, that is not going to happen. And for Saquon Barkley, I don't know if you throw him into, free agency this offseason, if he's getting the kind of money that he's looking for. Let's be honest. He's not as good as Barkley is. He's not Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he can't do everything that McCaffrey can do on a football field.
I would agree. Let me ask you a question. Assuming Saquon is healthy and on the New York Giants, do they have a chance to be a playoff team?
Yeah.
Right?
But I don't think he's the most important piece to the team.
If Saquon's not there, would you pick them to make the playoffs? And let's say Saquon wasn't on the New York Giants.
Yeah, I think the Giants' playoff chances, I'll answer it this way. Do I think they're a playoff team without Saquon Barkley? Probably not. But can they get production at the running back spot? The most important player this year for the Giants is the quarterback.
And I think so much hinges on Barkley helping that said quarterback in Daniel Jones.
Well, that's got to change. If you believe that,
Yeah.
then you should never have paid Daniel Jones the kind of money that he's looking for.
Well, I mean, I'm not a Daniel Jones guy,
Yeah, I'm
but
more of a
yeah,
Daniel
you're more
Jones
of a Daniel
guy.
Jones
I
guy.
think
Yeah.
Jones, I think he's got to start to separate himself from that narrative. He separated himself from the narrative a year ago that he stinks. And people are
Yes.
like, oh, he's terrible. He can't play in the National Football League, waste of a 6th overall pick. Like people that were basically saying that he was a brutal football player were like going out there and going back to their social media posts and deleting them as Daniel Jones started to prove everybody wrong during the
I
course
like
of the
Daniel
year.
better than Mac Jones. Just throwing it
Right.
out there.
No, I get it. But you understand the
Yeah.
point that
No,
I'm
I know what you
making. There
mean.
were
Yes.
some people that were really hard and took hard stands against Daniel Jones. So now we're in a scenario where Jones got paid. Quarterbacks in the National Football League, they get paid, right? And I'm not telling you that he's Patrick Mahomes, but now's the time for Daniel Jones to take that and have the understanding, okay, well, now he's got the belief of Daboll, Kafka, and Joe Shane in New York, and go from 15 touchdown passes, which he had in 2022, and go to, having 24, 25 touchdown passes in 2023, this upcoming season. Like he's got to continue to take that next step forward as the quarterback to where he makes people around him better. And he's finally got a coaching staff around him that's pretty good. And I think I would say he's the most important position. I'm not telling you that Saquon Barkley doesn't help him. I'd be moronic to tell you that is not the case. Of course it is. I mean, and I like Barkley as a player. And I don't want to take this kind of pro giant where it's all about the team kind of aspect here when you're looking at Saquon Barkley. But I think what we've seen here in the National Football League, it is the very, very few in the NFL that get paid. McCaffrey got paid. Like, and when you look at that position, Jacobs is coming off an unbelievable season for the Las Vegas Raiders. They gave him the tag. He's due to make $10.1 million. Tony Pollard, we've all basically for the last 2 years thought Tony Pollard was the best running back in Dallas, even with Ezekiel Elliott still being there and getting the money he was making. We talked about it fantasy-wise. Tony Pollard signed his franchise tag. He's going to be playing for $10.1 million. It just is what it is, as Barkley tweeted out yesterday, when you look at the National Football League and how those running backs get paid. It's unfortunate. You get used and abused. You get used and abused in college. There's not a lot of tread left on the tires. And the first instance that you show any signs of deterioration, you are going to be out of the league.
Yeah, and I think if you're a running back, you need to figure out, like, this would be, I think everything going on right now over the last couple of years with how running backs are being handled should be a teaching tool, right? If you are in high school right now or in college right now and you are projecting towards being an NFL running back, you need to make sure you learn how to save your money, and you need to, whether it's investing, whatever it may be, you need to understand that there really is more of a shelf life for you than any other position in the NFL. And I think there is a distinction too, because I think one thing you said you nailed is that the most important player for the New York Giants is Daniel Jones. He's not the best player. Saquon Barkley is the best player on the New York Giants, but the best player, if it's not the most important player, there's that distinction. And that's why Daniel Jones got all that money and they need him to be paid and lead this team. You're right. I'm more of a believer that Saquon Barkley accounting for 40% of the offense last year is going to be a reason why the Giants can win. But the NFL doesn't believe that. The NFL recycles these running backs like crazy. Look at the Chiefs last year. Like every year the Chiefs have a new running back, and it hasn't mattered.
Well, and they learned their lesson. They drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire with
that
the
didn't
first-round
work,
draft
and then
choice.
they got Pacheco. Fine.
Well, and Edwards-Helaire was a guy that I remember seeing reports, Peter King and others, oh, he's going to be unbelievable in this offense, and he was okay. I mean, he was okay. Isaiah Pacheco was a 7th-round pick coming out of Rutgers, and I watched him throughout the course of his Scarlet Knight career, and he runs really, really hard. And, do I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to have a long career in the National Football League because of the pounding he takes? Probably not. And he took a lot of pounding when he was running the football for the Scarlet Knights. But it's a perfect case in point. I mean, to look at it, just quickly here, like if you're looking to get into playing football and you have enough God-given talent and the work ethic to potentially play in college and play in the National Football League, and that is there, and there's a lot of factors that come into play. I mean, quarterbacks, wide receivers, tackles, especially left tackles, edge rushers, and corners.
Yeah.
I mean, those are specifically the ones, there can be an outlier here or there when you're looking at other spots, like you're looking at tight ends or whatever. But those are the spots that historically are going to get paid. I mean, football still comes down to the old adage, right? Protect yours, get after theirs. If you're a big left tackle, or if you're an offensive lineman and you can play on the outside and you have the quick feed, if you're an edge rusher and you can get after the quarterback and be a game disruptor, you're going to get money. I mean, that's it. Because sometimes the best way to stop a passing game is pressure, as we all know in the National Football League. Unfortunately for running backs, there's a place for you in the game. It's just not going to be one where you're going to make the bags of cash that some other positions are going to make.
Yeah, it's interesting. Jonathan Taylor's tweets, Derrick Henry tweeting, why don't we just get rid of the running back position in general? It's excessive, and everyone's angry. Everyone is hurt, disappointed, I believe, from the running back fraternity and how this has played out. But again, Saquon said it. It is what it is. Hey, what do you make of DeAndre Hopkins looking like he's going to sign with the Titans?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Tennessee, or I'm not a Tannehill fan. I'm not, a Will Levis fan.
Well, I'm going to take that over 7.5 wins now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I don't know. If you're DeAndre Hopkins, that's the spot you want to go to, I guess. I mean, to revitalize your career. I mean, where there's no other landing spot where you've got a better win now situation. Because there's questions about, you and I had the conversation fantasy-wise, what is DeAndre Hopkins, regardless of where he lands? Like, you brought up a great example. You brought up the Cleveland Browns as being an example. Why not go to Cleveland? And you've got Deshaun Watson. You've got the relationship with the Houston Texans. You've got a clear-cut number one wide and Amari Cooper in Cleveland as well. Why not go to the Browns? Why not take a little bit less? But that's easy for me to say because I'm not in those financial circles. I'm not thinking about, $6, $7, $8 million, $9 million a year. It's easy for you and I to go out there, or anybody to go out there and say, well, I'll take a little bit of a haircut because in the end, it's going to be better to win than better to lose. I just don't look at, if you're DeAndre Hopkins and you're going to go to the Tennessee Titans, is that a win situation? Where exactly would you put the Tennessee Titans and the potential to go out there and win? But can they pay him the most money as compared to some other teams? Probably. I'll tell you, you brought up Mac Jones before. Like, what are the New England Patriots doing? I mean, thank God he's got an offensive coordinator up there in New England and Bill O'Brien. And they've moved away from Matt Patricia, who I think is now a defensive assistant coach with the Philadelphia Eagles, and Joe Judge, who's still on that staff, as being guys, the offensive gurus under Bill Belichick, where they were in 2022. But, I mean, you can look at, and you and I differ on Mac Jones of what he is as a player, right? And that's fine. That's all good. But I would think you'd want to find out as best you can what he is as a player, and try and put as much talent as you possibly can around him. And I know they were flirting with DeAndre Hopkins, but right now he lands in Tennessee. Doesn't change maybe you look at over 7.5 wins for the Tennessee Titans. Do I look at them as a team that could contend in the AFC? No. I mean, I just don't. I mean, you take your pick. The Chiefs are better. The Bengals are better. I make the argument the Browns are better. You make the argument that obviously Jets are better. The Miami Dolphins are better. The Bills, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think, are a better football team. Ravens are a better football team. I mean, they're not going to even be a playoff team. I mean, it's so like in an absolute loaded AFC. If you're DeAndre Hopkins,
I'm going to put myself in the brain of DeAndre Hopkins. He either is going to be 31 years old or just turned 31, right? So in his mind, let's say I'm DeAndre Hopkins. I'm sitting there going, all right, looking around the league, I think I got 3 to 4 more real years in the NFL. That's what my brain would be telling me if I'm DeAndre Hopkins. I got 3 to 4 more real years in the NFL. Let me go get bags of cash from the Titans this year. Let me put up real numbers and play all year. Let's say Hopkins goes for 1,100 receiving yards with Tannehill, Levis, whomever is his quarterback, whoever ends up being his quarterback there in Tennessee, right? Puts up decent numbers. And then gets another deal. And then you sit there and you go, when I'm 34 and I'm on my last legs, maybe I'll sign some sort of small contract with a Kansas City Chiefs, a Cincinnati Bengals, a Philadelphia Eagles, a 49ers team like that. Then I'll go chase a Super Bowl, try to do it there. Let me make a boatload of money for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Maybe. I mean, you're right. I mean, I mean, you could look at that as being an option. I mean, I don't, it just, for fantasy wise, We've looked
if we're
at
talking fantasy, I'm not sure what he is.
Yeah, that's the other aspect. I mean, I'd pass.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'd pass.
I think I'd be more in on Odell Beckham Jr. than Hopkins. I think OBJ has a higher ceiling with Lamar as his quarterback than Hopkins has with whomever his quarterback is.
I would probably agree with that. I don't like either one of them, but if you're
but ceiling.
If you're asking me to pick the team guy with the higher ceiling, I'd probably tell you it's Beckham. Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree with the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, we played this game with DeAndre Hopkins. You mentioned it. Dalvin Cook is still sitting out there, and the Jets are getting ready and getting set to be a part of Hard Knocks as camp gets going tomorrow. Now, here's the one thing that came out this morning before we hit the airwaves, that the Jets will be limiting access to the cameras for HBO. Now, what does that mean? That means that they will not be showing players getting cut.
What do you think of that? What did you think?
I think they said, well, the Jets basically told HBO it's not humane. We have no interest in showing players and potential NFL dreams coming to an end. And, it's amazing. Think about this. Joe Douglas, their GM, remember with the Baltimore Ravens, 20 years ago, he was the Turk. He was the one that walked around the hotel for the Baltimore Ravens and knocked on the doors. And now he's the general manager of the Jets. So, the Jets wanted no part of it. The National Football League had really no other viable options. I think we got some sound from Aaron Rodgers, do we not? Yeah, we'll have some. Here's Rodgers, Burnsy, if you've got it, and hopefully you do on cue. I know I'm throwing something at you.
That camera? You're going to see a lot of them now. Hard Knocks is coming. Your thoughts?
Listen, one of the only things I like about Hard Knocks is the voice of God who narrates it.
Right.
Live. I hope I get to meet him. But look, I understand the appeal with us. Obviously, there's a lot of eyes on me, a lot of eyes on our team, a lot of expectations for our squad. So they forced it down our throats, and we got to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, that was Rodgers out in Lake Tahoe playing that charity golf event. And Lake Tahoe looked absolutely gorgeous over the weekend.
So beautiful.
I mean, so beautiful. But yeah, the Jets wanted no part. They shoved it down their throats, but the National Football League had nowhere else to go. The Commanders are a complete mess, so they can't send the HBO cameras down there to Washington with the impending sale by Dan Snyder.
Yep.
You had the Bears, and then you had the New Orleans Saints. So the Jets are arguably right there as the most intriguing storyline in the National Football League, shoved it down their throats. So you're going to get coverage of the Jets, but it's going to look a little bit different. I'm not a huge fan of Hard Knocks. I'm not anymore right
Same
now.
Here.
I don't watch it, but I'm going to watch it now because of what you and I do and the fact that we live here in the Northeast. Going to be locked in, but they're not going to be showing players getting cut, which I think is actually a nice touch. I don't.
It's probably the right call. I will say that there were many times in the past watching Hard Knocks when players were getting cut, the conversations, there's an intrigue to it because most of us as normal human beings have never lived through that, right? Like fought for something so hard and then had that. But I will say that I don't need to see or even want necessarily to see men, and it's just because they're men playing football. I'm not being sexist here, but I don't need to see men getting their dreams literally cut and dashed in front of my eyes. I don't need it. I'm fine with HBO or the Jets saying no thank you to that part of it.
Yeah, it's train wreck TV. It's kind of something where people won't admit that they like watching, but they do. The pain of another individual. I don't get great enjoyment out of that. I really don't. I don't need to see, hopes and dreams being dashed and somebody's NFL journey, at least for that time, coming to an end. It's a part of the business. It becomes a numbers game.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, there are stories and there are names and there are journeys behind each and every one of those players that are getting set for training camps across this country, that there was sacrifice, family, personal, in order to make that dream happen in a reality. So I'm one, I don't necessarily need to see that. And I think it's a nice touch by the Jets to basically say, no, first off, we wanted no part of this. Secondly, we don't need you then to show somebody, having us take their playbook and basically thanking them for their journey and moving on. Like you don't need to see all that. So yeah, I think it's a nice touch by the Jets.
I'd like to meet Liv Shriver also, by the way. Ray
Yeah.
Donovan was an amazing show. Were you a Ray Donovan guy?
Yes. My wife was a little bit more, but yes, Ray Donovan was great.
They little bit weird one season, but otherwise I thought it was a fantastic show. Very well done.
Yeah, he summers in Montauk.
Does he really?
Yes.
Let's go find him.
Summers in Montauk. I know where his house is. Yeah. We've
go
seen
find him.
We've seen him at John's Ice Cream.
I'm in. Let's go hang out with him. Come on. So you're buddies with him is what you're saying.
No, I am not. No. I said I've seen him at John's Ice Cream.
So you could text him for me.
No, I did not. No, I never said that.
Can I have his cell phone number?
No. If I had it, I would send it to you. No, probably not. But I would. And if I had it, I probably wouldn't admit that I had it. But yeah.
See what we're doing here, everybody? See what's happening here?
I do not have his number. I do not. But I think he's I think very, very talented and very talented actor. And he has made himself a boatload of money being the quote voice of God for HBO.
Yeah, Jody and I went and saw him in an off-Broadway show. It was either while we were dating or maybe really early on in our marriage. I want to say it was called like The Roof. And I think it was him and Scarlett Johansson in an off-Broadway show. And like he sang a little bit in it. She sang a little bit in it. It was like, it wasn't like a big, huge production, but I think it was called The Roof. It was awesome. Like now I want to double check that. Was it Roof Liv Shriver? I think it was. Yeah, but it was fun. It was a good one. Yeah, Liv Shriver. It was.
It's fantastic. NFL training camps are right here, and that they're about to get going. It really is. And the Jets are opening up things tomorrow. We mentioned about Hard Knocks. The other big storyline, fantasy wise, is going to be the Miami Dolphins.
Oh yeah,
and exactly what do they look like this year? Tua, taking some martial arts during the course of the offseason, learning how to fall. Maybe adding a little bit of weight, and he's a guy that had issues staying healthy at Alabama, has had issues staying healthy with Miami in the National Football League. But when healthy, Waddle and Tyreek Hill, utterly ridiculous when you're looking at the production at the wide receiver spot. I mean, both men last year, they combined for nearly 3,200 yards receiving a year ago. I mean, that is just ridiculous production when you're looking at both of them, a combined 15 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, obviously the Cheetah, year one down in Miami, fantastic. 119 catches, 1,710 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Now, here's Tyreek Hill on his podcast talking about expectations.
2,000 yards next year. Receiving.
I will break 2,000 yards next year, bro.
I'm with it. I'm here for it. Y'all heard of me just checking stuff off his bucket list.
I'm just checking it off my bucket list. And all I'm going to say is 2,000 yards was on my bucket list to get, bro, before I leave this league. And y'all think the Cheetah going to leave without doing something he promised himself he going to do as a Jit? I got y'all, baby. 2,000 yards and another Super Bowl. We getting that. Believe that. Believe that. Thank you. Thank you.
It needed to be said.
It needed to be said.
There you go.
Yeah, and I was looking at the on-pace numbers, and I've actually been doing this a lot in baseball right now because we're in the second half of the season, doing it on Bettor's Eye a bunch with the on-pace numbers. But for Tyreek Hill, if you look at the on-pace numbers for him last year, he had 1,104 receiving yards in the first 9 games. On pace was for a little bit over 2,000 at that point. And then you had all the QB injuries and everything like that. He ended up with 1,710 yards on 119 catches. So if you look at it that way, if you believe the Tua can stay healthy, I know that's a big question. A View from the Bridge. Thank you, Jessica Brand. That was the name of the show, not The Roof. It was A View from the Bridge. Liv Schreiber and Scarlett Johansson. Thanks. Love having Jessica back in the chat. But if you believe that Tua can stay healthy, why can't he catch another 115 to 120 footballs, right? Maybe even more. and really probably get very close to the 2,000 marker. I think he could be close there. By the way, did you watch any of the Scott Fishbowl stuff this weekend? The fantasy stuff. Matt Deutsch put out videos.
I just saw some of the clips. Yes.
Yeah.
What are you referencing? Which aspect of it?
In one of the divisions, and again, in the Scott Fishbowl, they put a big emphasis on quarterback. So in one division, it essentially was the first 6 picks were quarterbacks. Then a tight end was taken. I'll run through it for you. And I think I have it off the top of my head. Tua was taken number 1 overall in one of the leagues. So it was Tua 1, Mahomes 2, Allen 3, Hurts 4, Burrow 5, Kelsey was 6. Then I believe it was Herbert 7. I'm missing a quarterback at number 8. Can't remember who it was. Number 9, I want to say, was Justin Jefferson. Then it went, Justin Fields was somewhere in there. I think maybe Justin Fields was 9. Justin Jefferson was 10. McCaffrey was mixed in there too. And Better Boss is telling us about the points. Yeah, it's a quarter point for rushing yards for all players. A super flex format. So you could start the 2 quarterbacks. So everyone was going off the board with the QBs. But it was crazy because Tua goes number 1, which was nuts. People were like, why him 1? Listen, with all those wide receivers there, if he stays healthy, he's probably going to put up big numbers.
Yeah, I think he's going to put up huge numbers. Deutsch said quarter point for rushing yards for all players. Super flex format can start 2 QBs. Yeah, I would not take Tua at number 1 overall.
So if you were ranking your quarterbacks, you go Mahomes 1 or no?
Yes.
Fantasy.
Yes.
And would you go Hurts or Allen 2?
I'd go a Hurts.
Okay. Allen 3?
Probably, yeah.
Burrow 4?
Yeah, I might actually flip-flop it. I would go Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, Allen.
And then when does Justin Fields come into the conversation?
Fields to me would probably be around 6. I go Herbert 5, Fields 6.
Cool. All right.
Then I talk about Tua. I just have the I'm not telling you like Tua's untalented or he can't play or people are seeing something that's not there. No, I mean we saw it last year. I think he's also got a tremendous offensive mind. I don't know, PR wise, I don't think he necessarily handles himself all that well when you're looking at Mike McDaniel and says some strange things down there in Miami. But from a perspective of handling an offense, I think that he's got a great mind for playing to the strengths of his players. And speed kills, and you've got Waddle and Tyreek Hill down there in Miami. I would not put it past Tyreek Hill to get over 2,000 yards receiving. 2, I just don't like. Someone, you got to prove it to me. You couldn't stay healthy college wise at Alabama, and you had a massive hip injury. You had 2 ankle injuries. What would lead me to believe that now all of a sudden you're going to be able to hold up physically with the Miami Dolphins? And he's shown you he's not been able to do it. I mean, and so. That's a massive gamble to me that you could end up looking like a hero at the end, or it could be an absolute killer to your team. Because would you be all that surprised? Week 10, week 11, Tua suffers some kind of injury, and here's Mike White starting at quarterback for the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, no. By the way, I missed Lamar Jackson too. Lamar Jackson was in that top tier as well. Yeah.
Yes. Lamar Jackson. Where would you stick Lamar?
So I think if I'm going to go, it would be Mahomes 1, Hurts 2. I would go Allen 3, Burrow would be 4. And I think Lamar is in that conversation at number 5 now. You got Lamar, Herbert, Justin Fields in that little blend right there. That'd be my next.
All right. So of those 3, which would you take first?
I think I feel the safest with Lamar. I think the best ceiling is Justin Fields.
Oh, so Herbert, yeah.
Herbert would be third on that one. I know Herbert's going to throw for almost 5,000 yards.
Yeah, I'd feel the
he doesn't
safest.
run like those 2 dudes.
No, he doesn't, but I'd feel the safest with Herbert.
Yeah, I guess he's the safe. Yeah, I guess he's the safest.
If you're going to tell me the safest pick.
Well, Herbert was injured last year too, right? Had broken ribs.
Was. You're right about that. But I mean, he suffered the rib injury against Kansas City, but he also was that one that played through it and suffered a rash of injuries when you're looking at the wide receiver spot. If you're telling me the safe, I agree with you in terms of the highest ceiling. No, I mean, if Beckham works out down in Miami, down in Baltimore, you have Lamar Jackson 100% healthy. Yeah. It's and Bateman. Yep. They've got some weaponry and now a healthy J.K. Dobbins, completely healthy J.K. Dobbins run the football down in Baltimore. I mean, that could be, really, really, we're not all that far off to Lamar being in that conversation of being, a top 3 fantasy quarterback in fantasy football. We'll come back. Who's joining us next?
Fensty.
That's exactly right. We got BS Detector coming your way later on. We got something we're going to do with real-time sports coming your way a little bit later on in the program. Lucy Burdge, who has never seen a Tom Cruise movie. We'll get into that.
And she swears that this is true. So
I find that to be startling.
Yeah.
That's a stunning revelation last night on social media. Yeah. She'll join us a little later on the program as well. He's Keith Arizari. I'm Mark Malusis. It's Moose and Keith with you on this Tuesday, Bettor Sports Network.
Breece Hall right now, and I've talked to plenty of high-stakes players, I'm sure you have too, Kev. Had Hall not torn his ACL last year, he might have been the 101 in drafts this year. That's how good he was looking last year, and obviously with the addition of Aaron Rodgers. At the 305, running back 11 behind Derrick Henry and Ramondre Stevenson, right ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs and Najee Harris. Your thoughts on him as a mid-third round pick? How have you been attacking him? Have you been getting him at that spot so far this year?
Yeah, if I start out with 2 wide receivers, Breece Hall is right at the top of the queue coming into the third. If I knew he'd be healthy for week 1, I was still a little.
Well, he'd be going higher than the mid third.
Right. He may go 101 or well, RB1 at least.
Yeah.
But I don't think we know that even if he's healthy in spring and the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I still like if I'm running a team, if I'm the coach, I'm bringing him back slow. Like he's on a pitch count. Like I want him for the end of the season because I got Aaron Rodgers for the playoffs, right? Like even if he's fully healthy, I would work him in slow. But that is actually what you want. Like he's still going to get the high value touches. So yeah, if we know he's healthy, he's a first rounder. So like if he's sitting there in the third, especially when I get 2 wide receivers to start, I'll take Hall all day.
Yeah, it almost makes me think that the uncertainty with Breece Hall has made him unfairly fall too far, right? Like, right. Because we're talking about the team here in June. They're still hoping that he's ready for week 1. This is not, we'll see what happens. We're taking it day by day. We're liking how he's coming along. No, they still think by week 1. And the fact that we have that timeline, I think, maybe bumps him up, especially as the drafting season gets deeper and deeper here in July and August. Maybe we start seeing him go up the boards as well.
I like it. Keith Arizari, Mark Malusis, Moose and Keith, Bettor Sports Network. Bring in our guy, Justin Fensterman, Fensty Sports on social media. Fensty, we're going to start here because in hour number 2, we're going to talk to Lucy Burdge and her Tom Cruise thing that goes on. What would be the movie that you have not seen that would surprise people? Is there one on your list? See, I think everyone has one. Go.
Pulp Fiction.
Ooh, yeah, that's a classic that most people have seen. Yeah,
I have just not seen it. Well, I've started watching it like after like partying a couple of nights, but then I fell asleep after like 10, 15 minutes. So that to me doesn't count. So that's the movie wherever I tell everyone, they go, you got to see it right now. But there are like 10 million movies out there.
Yeah. You know what? And Moose, you know what I haven't seen?
What's that?
The Notebook. Never saw The Notebook.
Same here.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I haven't watched any of the Harry Potter movies.
Wow.
I've seen the first 2.
I've watched none of the Harry Potter movies, and then I haven't watched what's the ones with the
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
I haven't seen those too.
I've not, and people are like, it's just amazing. Like I used to get into arguments with Chris McMonagle, who's now doing overnights at WFAN, and he would be like, "How have you not watched any of the Lord of the Rings?" I go, "I just don't have any interest." He's go, "Sit down." So sit down and watch it. So this was like before kids. Now I was working like 7 days a week at the time. I was like, all right, I had some time. Let me sit down and watch it. We're in our apartment. Donna has no interest in watching. I'm like, all right, I'm going to make a commitment. I'm going to watch it. I was sleeping in like 25 minutes. I was passed on the couch. I woke up and the credits were on. I was like, I fell asleep. I passed out in like 20 minutes.
No,
The other thing
it's funny you say
Fensty is
that.
doing, which I saw on social because Adam Ronis basically told you to do it, is you are quitting soda for a month.
I am.
So you're on a weight loss campaign?
Yeah, I've always had it in my mind that I know the keys. I used to be when I was a kid on Weight Watchers, and I know all of the tools. And Keith, I've seen you drinking you have your 3 drinks with you during your shows. Sometimes you see the pink liquid, sometimes you see the basic water. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, I love soda more than anything. I'd rather give up French fries, which I also love. Any food, I am a soda guy through and through.
I'm going to give you a soda hack, by the way, but keep going.
All right, and I think I know what it might be, and I can give you one as well. I'm trying for the first time in 5 years to really get my weight under control. I fluctuate like a yo-yo, and when I used to be hosting late nights, it's hard because being on the air until 2 a.m. for a few years, you're hungry as hell after those shows. You're not just ready to go turn off the mic and go to bed. And for me, the biggest weakness that I have is night eating. Because I like watching TV late into the night, but when you're eating all those calories, the next morning you wake up, you're feeling full, bloated, you don't want to go work out. And so for the first time in 5 years, I'm going to give this a legit shot, but I know that soda is one of the things that I've read and I've been told a million times by people, by doctors, that if you stop drinking it, you see some results. And I'm a big time soda drinker. Big into the Diet Coke.
Right. So what's your go-to? Diet Coke?
So Diet Coke was my go-to. I mean, and then you say you try to stick with the diet, but then you're now reading, and you've been reading that the artificial sweeteners are BS anyway. So
yeah, they're bad.
It's all unhealthy for you. So Keith, I don't know if this is part of your hack, but one of the things that I'm doing now, because having something that's soda-like, seltzer with Mio in it. I don't know if you guys have heard of Mio. So I have different flavors of Mio. And I have, like, in this one, I have grape Mio. So it makes me think, and it fools my body and mind into thinking I'm drinking a grape.
What's
soda.
Mio?
Here, I got
it. It's in that little, it's like a little thing like this, and you just squirt it in. Yeah.
Oh.
What is that sweetened with, though? I forget.
It's probably something that's great. No, but
all right, so my hack is this, and I got this from a couple of years ago. A lot of the CrossFit athletes who loved soda, but obviously didn't want to have soda if they're going to be elite CrossFit, like in these championship things, right? They started drinking Zevia. It's sweetened with stevia, all right? And stevia is natural. It doesn't lead to gaining weight or anything like that. And they have all these crazy flavors. There's cherry cola, like some have caffeine in it. Cherry cola, there's black cherry, there's a regular cola, there's a Sprite type of one. There's a Mountain Dew flavored type of one.
What does it taste like?
It tastes like soda. It just tastes
legitimately tastes like soda.
I swear to you, I've given it to people and like I've said, just take a sip. And they go, wow, it really tastes like soda. So I go on, you could buy this on Amazon. Buy like just the pack on Amazon. So you get all the variety flavors. It's amazing. Except for when I'm at a barbecue. And then I'll drink Diet Coke and stuff like that. But otherwise, I only drink Zevia.
And it's funny you say that with the cherry cola, because you were asking me, Moose, before about what my favorite. I mean, my go-to is Diet Coke. And I blame Jeff Van Gundy for that, by the way, because he always drank at least 3 of them every single Knicks game that I'd watch. That was his thing. Always drank Diet Coke. So it's his fault. No, it's my fault. But my go-to overall 1-seed soda, Dr. Brown's Black Cherry. I love it so much. And so when you mention that there's a black cherry flavor, I mean, maybe that's something that I could start using. And Keith, you're in phenomenal shape. And I know that you work out at night and you're very religious about it. And it's more than just stopping drinking soda. I'm trying to cut down on the carbs, but the soda being my main vice, I just want to give it a month. And we have that fantasy football expo in Canton, Ohio coming up next month. So that's kind of, and I know when I'm out there, I'm going to have a few drinks and everything. So I'm really trying to just.
All right. So you want to get in great shape. You're quitting soda.
Yep.
What do you want to trim off? Like where's the realistic where you're like, okay, in the next 4 months, I can trim this amount.
He wants to do it in the next month.
Or the next month. Okay. Well, so what do you want to lose?
Right. I try to create smaller goals, because whenever I create too lofty of goals, they never come through. So for me, over the next month, I'd like to lose a solid 10 to 15 pounds.
How tall are you?
I am 6 feet tall.
Okay. right.
So, and I think it's attainable. I mean, here's how it's going to work. The first week or two, I'm going to feel like an all-star. I'm going to lose the water weight instantly. It's going to be great. My wife and I are kind of going in on it together.
Which is important.
Yes, because we can help each other out and everything. You know, we've got a wedding coming up and she wants to wear a dress. I want to look good for the wedding. So that's in September. So
and you have 1 or 2 kids? I forget.
I have 1 kid.
Okay.
Yes. So, and she eats relatively healthy too. So the water weight will come off instantly. The first 2 weeks, I'll lose 7-8 pounds instantly. But then the success, they're going to get smaller and smaller. And that's where the maintenance factor comes in. And that's always been my weak point. And no more, guys. I've gotten my mind right coming off a vacation, and I'm ready to hit the ground running, and I'm ready to go to the gym again too.
What are we going to do for cardio? What's your cardio choices?
So I actually have a dog too, and I'm trying to run more with her rather than just walk her around the block. There are a few grassy areas where I'm trying to do, I don't want to say wind sprints or anything, but I want to try to run with her. It's in a way we're kind of developing because my dog also needs to lose a few pounds. So we're helping each other out a little bit. And this morning, for instance, when I'm walking her and it's pretty hot down here in Maryland, I was getting tired and I kind of go to her and I'm like, what do you think? You got enough energy in you? And she's like, so we go down to the grassy area, and for the first time in years, and I also just invested in new CrossFit shoes, and I hadn't gotten a new pair of shoes in 6 years, literally. So I invested in it, and I was able to get it.
Nice.
Good.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Well, there you go. All right. Well, good luck on your journey. Will you be tweeting about it?
I will be tweeting every so often. I don't love tweeting about myself, looking for the comments and everything like that. But every so often, I'm going to check in. And I tweeted it yesterday, and that's my accountability tweet.
I know you're a big barbecue guy too, and you like to post your grilling stuff.
Yes.
Bone sucking barbecue sauce. It is paleo acceptable barbecue sauce, and I promise you, it tastes really good. I do that for ribs, and I'll throw that on burgers and stuff like that. Bone sucking. It comes like in a mason jar.
Right. The food thing will be the easiest part, guys, because, we've talked about it a lot, Moose, as well. I love grilling so much. I don't really eat the fried foods unless we order out in delivery because I love French fries so much. But I love grilling everything. I love grilling vegetables. I love grilling chicken, fish, steak, which I'm trying to also limit the red meat as well, really stick to the chicken. So, guys, I'm really going to make a few-month effort. And if it doesn't come through, I'm going to tweet that it didn't come through and it's back to the drawing board.
Beautiful. All right, Fensty. We are in, NFL training camps here. Fantasy football drafts are happening, everything like that. You mentioned the big soiree you got in Canton in about a month. What are as you prep, give us a little bit of a feel, Fensty, about how you prep and get yourself ready. I understand the rules of the particular league change things, but what do you take us behind the scenes of your mindset in terms of how much work, where do you think the important work needs to be done in terms of draft prep before you go into what is hopefully a successful fantasy football season?
There's a lot of average draft positions out there with a lot of different ADPs, and people sometimes get too stuck on those. I like prepping in tiers because it allows myself more open thinking during the draft. It allows myself to, if all my guys are taken, I have a tier of a few players that I absolutely love. And this especially works in fantasy football auction formats. So it allows you to want to be a little bit aggressive going after who you want, because people just get stuck on the ADPs. Well, I'm seeing this guy go in the 5th round. Well, if you want to take him in the 4th round, who cares what anyone says? You have to get the guys you want. So I start writing down like my own review sheet and my own tier sheet. And I write down which players I love, which players I'm okay with, and I'm constantly updating it throughout. So it's a train of thought, but that's the big thing, open thinking and not being so married to the ADP. So I tier a lot, and that's helped me garner a lot more success in fantasy football.
How do you handle the tight end position? Because I'm noticing some people are starting to, go all in on Kelsey and then just kind of walk away from everybody else.
I used to be the guy that would wait until Austin Seferian-Jenkins in the 13th round. That doesn't work out, though. That's the problem. It really doesn't work out.
That is a great poll, Fensty.
Yeah,
That's a great poll.
And you can tell how I did in my tight ends for the year. But the thing with the tight ends is it all depends. To me, it's all relative. If I'm sitting there, let's say in the late 1st round, maybe I go in on Kelsey. For a while, I went all value tight ends. Then I took over a keeper league team, and that team had Kelsey. And I said, you know what? We're obviously going to keep Kelsey. Let's try this out. And I loved having a tight end where I didn't have to worry every week. I didn't have to battle on the waiver wire, spend extra fab every single week. I only want to do that if I'm suffering from injuries, not with just a position that I didn't prioritize. So I don't have one set of rules anymore with the tight ends. I'm a lot more open to drafting a Travis Kelce, but at the same time, I try to find guys that are going in the middle tiers. I really love the one value tight end that I absolutely loved, and I did a video about on fantasyalarm.com, was Chigo Okonkwo. Now with DeAndre Hopkins there, though, that kind of puts some water on that a bit. Not saying that he can't still have success, because when you look in the final weeks of the season, this guy's a monster big size tight end, and he can still get love. And if Ryan Tannehill's going to be forced to throw because they're not going to feed Derrick Henry 1,000 carries, and yeah, Hopkins is going to get covered, but if they want someone to go a little bit deeper than 10 yards, Hopkins is your 10-yard guy. Chigo Okonkwo can go a little bit further. Big-bodied receiver, hard to take down, big-bodied tight end. So that's someone that I'm looking at late, although this was someone that I was going to draft and maybe have 4 or 5 shares of. Now I'm going to be having maybe 2 or 3 because of that Hopkins news. So I don't have one set of rules, guys. I take the draft as it lies because it goes back to what I was saying, in that you have to have open thought, because you don't want to be stuck thinking, okay, computerized, the draft has to go this way, and then all of a sudden the previous 4 picks takes the running backs off the board. You're forcing yourself to go with a running back you don't like. I've been caught with my feet in the mud like that. It's a terrible feeling, and the tiering and the not having one set of rules helps you with that.
All right, Fency, are there any you have any strong fades, guys that you're staying away from in 2023 that you feel pretty strongly about?
Yeah, a couple of guys, a couple of receivers. First of all, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I sometimes think that rookies get overhyped because of the excitement coming in from the NFL draft. And this guy is going to a receiving core that's already got other weapons, and they have Zach Charbonnet as well in Seattle. Now, I'm looking up last season. Well, how many 3 wide receiver sets did they run? They didn't really rely on that too much. I like him in dynasty formats for maybe 3 years from now. But for this year, am I going to spend a late 5th, early 6th round pick on this guy? Hell no. They still have Tyler Lockett, who's been healthy. DK Metcalf is going to get targeted. They drafted Charbonnet to help out Ken Walker, and Charbonnet's specialty is catching passes. I mean, how many targets per game are there going to be to go around, as good as Geno Smith was? So why spend that kind of draft capital on someone who barely played last year because he was hurt in college? And that's on a really deep receiving core and has pass catching running backs. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm feeling it's because he's a rookie and he flashed.
How about a guy like Christian Watson? You talk about flash. He flashed last year, but now he's got a new QB under center. What are you doing with Watson?
I'm out. Totally out on him. I am. Last year, though, Keith, it's funny. Last year, I was totally in on him. I thought he was going to be the guy there.
Yeah, so was Moose. Moose loved Watson.
Yep. I loved what I saw because I'm a big tape watcher. And not just the highlights. You go on YouTube, you see the highlights. I try looking for actual game film. So I could see him set up. I could see him, maybe he's not being thrown the ball, but I can watch him run a little bit. I loved Christian Watson and everything about him. When the Packers got him, I was like, eureka, they got themselves a proven receiver. Drops a pass in preseason. I think Aaron Rodgers didn't like that and didn't prioritize him. Then he kept getting hurt throughout the early part of the year. So I'm out on him. Am I going to spend a, 3rd, 4th round pick on him? Too much draft capital. We don't know what to expect from Jordan Love. I'm not expecting him to just come out and be an all-star just like that. So because of that and the uncertainty with the QB, I'd rather spend that 3rd round capital or 4th round capital on someone with more proven talent and someone a little bit more conservative than him.
All right, Fency, how about the quarterback spot? Keith and I, before we brought you aboard, we're talking about quarterbacks and, who you have number 1 overall. Guy that we brought up late in the conversation was Lamar Jackson with the Baltimore Ravens. Contract situation in the rearview mirror. Got a new wideout in the veteran Odell Beckham Jr. J.K. Dobbins is healthy now. We know what he has in Mark Andrews at tight end when he is healthy. Bateman, year 2 for him, for the talented wide receiver. Where are you on Lamar Jackson in 2023?
Also out on him as well, guys. I mean, I am. It's true. Look, you got to take a stand. And I could be wrong, and I could be eating crow at the end of the season or Raven. But at the same time, when it comes to Lamar Jackson, dad joke right there, Keith. You know what
I liked it, actually. I liked it. It just went in the back of my brain. I'm like, I'm going to use that with my kids.
Go for it. He's been hurt the last few years. He's going to have protection, but he's been hurt. Zay Flowers, am I expecting him to pass a little bit more? Yes, but I don't really love his accuracy too much as well, if you look throughout his career. And to me, as much as I love the running quarterbacks, and, you can use Jalen Hurts as an example. And Jalen Hurts got A.J. Brown, and magically the accuracy improved with a great receiver in A.J. Brown. Do the Ravens have an A.J. Brown type guy? I don't think so. And as good as Mark Andrews is, Lamar Jackson's not that accurate. He's been hurt multiple games the last few seasons. Where he's going in drafts, I'd rather go with a guy like Joe Burrow, who's being drafted around after him, who I know can throw the ball, run it a little bit. Don't forget, Burrow also had 5 rushing touchdowns himself. I'd rather go with him, who I view as a safer option. Lamar is unsafe to me, as athletic as he is.
How about the Jacksonville Jaguars as a team? Totally, you look at, Lawrence, a bunch of wide receivers. You got ETN. Evan Ingram just signed a deal. Who are you in? Who are you out on in Jacksonville?
In Jacksonville, I'm in on Trevor Lawrence. I just drafted him in Scott Fishbowl, and then a bunch of rounds later, I wanted to lock in one receiver with him, and I locked in Christian Kirk, who I know Calvin Ridley's there, but again, we haven't seen him play in over a year. We don't know what we're going to get. Yeah, the targets are going to be divided, but still, Christian Kirk proved himself. They're going to throw to him. They're going to target him, and you can get him very late, so I've taken the value on him as well. I'm fine with Calvin Ridley where he's going. It's Travis Etienne and Evan Engram that I'm worried about. It seemed like a lot of people were out on Engram. Then he gets this contract and everyone's like, oh my God, they invested in him. We should invest in him. Let's go. I'm trying to see past that, though, at that point. So with Evan Engram, I'm still kind of weary on him. Here's the thing with Travis Etienne. I love Tank Bigsby because he doesn't need to do a lot to be successful. He's a bulldozer. He's going to be utilized on the goal line. Etienne had a little bit of fumbling issues, but also with the way he was utilized last year, even when James Robinson was in and then he was traded, I know that Doug Peterson loves using multiple backs, and I just don't want to pay the draft capital for Travis Etienne. Again, too much uncertainty with him, and them drafting Tank Bigsby, which was one of my favorite prospects to be drafted. That says something right there, and this guy's going to get utilized.
Fency, give me a guy that you absolutely adore, like that or maybe one or two guys this year in fantasy football that you've targeted, you've circled, that you want to try and make sure when you're drafting your teams that you have this individual on as many of those teams as possible.
I gave you guys Joe Burrow. I mean, he's definitely my favorite right there. I'm going to have multiple shares of him, but his teammate, T. Higgins. A lot of people are obsessed with Jamar Chase for good reasons. And I know that Joe Mixon, his contract situation settled. He's going to be plenty involved. But T. Higgins, in my opinion, is just as skilled as Jamar Chase. Is Chase going to be prioritized? Absolutely he is. But if you're telling me that I could get a Joe Burrow, Mr. Accuracy receiver in the late 3rd round, and I'm looking at some of these other guys, we mentioned Lamar Jackson who's going there. T. Higgins can still do a hell of a lot of damage, over 1,000 yards receiving, a bunch of touchdowns. He can still get you there and hit value in late 3rd, early 4th round. So if I'm sitting there in that late 3rd round and he's on the board, I'm going to go after him. At times, if I start out 2 running backs, would I be cool with T. Higgins as my first receiver? Absolutely. Would I try to maybe lock in a Metcalf shortly after him, was going right around him? Yes. But at the same time, I think there's room, as we've seen before, for both Chase and Higgins to crush it and eat. And that's exactly what they're going to do.
Fancy, let's put you in a league. Imagine we're in a 12-team league, half a point PPR, all the other scoring are pretty standard. Nothing weird, okay? Assuming Justin Jefferson is number 1, who's number 2?
I'm probably going after, at that point, I'm probably going McCaffrey. At that point, I've got some trust in him. And with San Francisco, I'm not in on Deebo Samuel because I think Deebo Samuel's ceiling has lowered because they've got multiple running backs that could do damage. They've got receiving core, and also we don't know what the deal is with the health of their quarterback situation at this point. Could end up being Mr. Darnold, which would be a little bit scary. So we don't know about Purdy's health if he's going to be ready for week 1. But I'm fine with Christian McCaffrey. I know what I'm getting. And look, yes, has he gotten hurt? Absolutely he's gotten hurt. Is he hella skilled and the most skilled running back in the league? I think he is. Him and Eckler right there. But at the same time, it's football. People are going to get hurt. So I can't play like that. I know what I'm getting with Christian McCaffrey, and there'll be plenty involved. So if Justin Jefferson's off that board, I'm going CMC there.
Then like 3 and 4, where are we?
3 on the back end?
No, so let's say number 1, number 2 are gone. It's Jefferson and it's McCaffrey.
Then,
now imagine you have number 3 or number 4.
Sure.
Who are you taking at 3
that
or 4?
point? At that point, I'm looking Eckler and Chase.
Okay, yeah, that's the same here. Okay,
and I don't always need guys to lock in a receiver with the quarterback that I drafted, but with someone like Joe Burrow, I want to invest in Joe Burrow. I love Joe Burrow. I'm obsessed with drafting this guy. I love watching him play, and I want as much investment.
Why are you and Moose the same person, by the way?
I love
Moose
Burrow
is in
as
love
well.
with Joe Burrow, too.
I mean, Moose, how much do you love soda? That we could be exactly the same.
Dude, I know. I'm well, that's why I was asking so many questions at the beginning. I need to quit soda. I need to get myself healthier. So I need to quit soda. So that's the one thing.
New York guys cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, well, I remember I was doing shows with Steve Weatherford like 7 years ago, and Weatherford was a guy, obviously giant punter, was like chiseled, like Keith's chiseled, but Weatherford was chiseled.
Weatherford was like
Weatherford was
what
like,
was that Health Magazine?
Yeah,
thing?
he was on like Men's Fitness.
Men's Fitness, yeah.
Like, yes, he was on Men's Fitness. Like Weatherford was all. So I used to text him and whatever, and we were friends and stuff, and still are. I could reach out to him, but he's like, Mark, you gotta quit soda.
Yeah,
like
that's big.
It doesn't matter what, you have to stop drinking. He goes, it doesn't even matter if it's Diet Coke. You got so yes, Fensty, we might as well be the same person. The adoration I have for soda is the same level as the love that I have for Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Because I love Joe Burrow. Like my face lights up when I see him on the TV screen. Like if he was a Washington Commander quarterback, like I'd have every variation of that jersey, even as awful as that jersey is.
Yes, no, absolutely. By the way, guys, I'll say this, someone else that I'm in on too, going a little bit after if I don't get Joe Burrow. I'm fine going back with Justin Herbert. I'm running it back with him. I think he's going at tremendous value in that 5th round. He played just about the entire season injured, and he played through it too, champ that he is as well. The guy could barely run, but he could still sling it. I remember that one Thursday night game with the ribs where he couldn't run off to the sidelines, but then he zips one to Gerald Everett for a late game touchdown. And I'm back in on Justin Herbert, and I'm even in on Keenan Allen for that matter as well. So, and Quentin Johnston late, I think another big-bodied receivers. I like guys that not only are big-bodied and have that speed, but they're hard to take down as well, especially ruining their momentum. And I think Johnston's that guy late. So that's another situation, the Chargers, where I'm very in on.
All right. Well, Fensty, hang in there. We're going to take a quick timeout because you're going to play a game with us. We do it each and every Tuesday, for the most part. BS Detector. It's the brilliance of our producer, Brian Burns. He came up with it. We love it. And Fensty's going to take part. We'll do that next. He's Keith Arizari. I'm Mark Malusis. He's Justin Fensterman. It's Moose and Keith here on this Tuesday, Bettor Sports Network.
I feel like this is a quietly contentious point in Dynasty Fantasy Football, what it means to actually be rebuilding. Some people say you should never truly be rebuilding. How do you view the rebuilding versus competing dichotomy in Dynasty?
So I will be the first person to acknowledge that my preferred format of fantasy football is just redraft. The years that I have played Dynasty, it has been, I've drafted a win now team because I've seen people that have just gotten into the cycle of rebuilding and thus they just don't make any progress. So if you're rebuilding for the 5th year in a row, I just, I don't know exactly how you get out of it, but yeah, it's definitely something that can happen. And a lot of people, especially when we come out of the NFL draft, everyone's just instantly shipping off, draft picks and everything. So, I mean, it's definitely something that can happen.
Joey, do you feel similarly to it? Do you feel like you see people getting stuck in the rebuilding loop?
I mean, I would say people that try to rebuild in the beginning of seasons, of their fantasy seasons, I see them get stuck in that rut. I would really try to only ever rebuild if I knew I was going to miss the playoffs. Like, I'm always trying to play to win, even if it's maybe I don't know.
I think my big thing is the word rebuild is a much shorter time frame than I think most people say it should be. Like, they look at rebuild as like 3 years out competing. Rebuild, you're looking to compete next season. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing it now, you're looking to revamp, and maybe there's a one season where you ship it off, but that very next season you should be competing. If you're doing it like that, I'm cool with it, but you gotta have a plan, not just keep getting the young players, keep getting the draft picks. Otherwise you end up like Tim. Maybe not like Tim who gets a bye, but you make the playoffs, you're in that like 4 to 6 range every year, just hovering in the middle. Nothing ever gets better, nothing ever gets worse.
I think I play like you in Dynasty, Simon. I play in 3-year windows.
100%. That's my go-to. And with the rate at which Dynasty leagues turn over, you should really only ever play in a 3-year window.
All right, Moose and Keith, Fensty, we're all back with you here on this Tuesday on the Bettor Sports Network. And Fensty hanging in for an extra segment with us because we're going to do BS Detector. And what it is our producer, Brian Burns, hop on in, Brian, is going to give us some stories, and we're going to say whether basically it is true or not, correct?
Yes, BS. We all know what that stands for, yeah.
That's exactly right.
You're not going to say it, are you?
What's that? No, I'm not going to say that.
Good for you. Fency, do you feel, by the way, before we get Burnsy in here, do you feel underdressed right now? Because I did. Like this guy comes with a red power tie. He's, and I'm in a t-shirt.
It's funny. I had this debate for about 7 minutes in the mirror before I joined you guys because I had my green Jets shirt on before. But so I said, I saw that Moose was in the shirt and tie, and Keith, you're in a t-shirt there. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So I went like a happy medium.
No, you look great. You look
cut
great.
right in the middle. I like it.
Yeah, I'm overdressed. I got to be honest with you. I'm overdressed.
He's going to the dentist after this. So
I've got
a cleaning.
I've got a cleaning with Maria after this.
Well, don't you have your gig afterwards too?
Then I have to go right down. So I have to drive down to Tuckahoe, New York, in Westchester right after this.
Wearing the tie because he's going to the dentist.
And then I have so I have the dentist, and then I have to head down to WPIX right after.
Remind me of Isaac Yankem, DDS from the WWE days back.
That's exactly.
You have some good ones.
I tell this all the time, and Burnsy knows this as well from working with me. I'm filled with a lot of useless information.
All right, Burnsy's about to give us some of that, I think.
All right, let's get to it. Brian, welcome and thank you, and you do a fantastic job. Time for another episode or a rendition of BS Detector. Take it away.
Oh, do you need this?
No, it'd be great. Burnsy, I think you have to turn your microphone on.
Yep. All right, so first we got Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Allen Robinson went on Sirius XM NFL radio yesterday and said, when you kind of look at some of the weapons that we have, I think that we're in a position to be a well-rounded offensive group with a lot of young talent that isn't so young anymore, and also vets. That's really when you see some offenses start to take the next step. You have Kenny Pickett coming into year 2, George Pickens coming into year 2, Pat Freiermuth at the tight end spot going into year 3, Najee Harris, and you bring in myself. We have a lot of guys across the board who can make plays, especially on third down. When you look at the red zone, when you look at creating explosive plays, you have guys to be able to bring some of that to the table at each and every situation. The mix of young talent and veterans to help them, or with the mix of young talent and veterans to help them, the Pittsburgh Steelers will take the next step this year. BS or no?
All right, so I'll hop in first here. So first, I think it's a real story. I think that Allen Robinson really did say all this stuff, so there's no BS there. I think he believes it too. But I will say BS on them taking a step forward. That division is too loaded. Kenny Pickett throws the ball as well as Moose does.
Yeah, I mean, Fence to you go. You're our guest. What do you think? Are you believing in the Steelers taking a massive step forward this year?
Unfortunately, I don't, because this team did finish over 500 last. So how big of a step can they take exactly? So kind of like what Keith was saying there, you got the retooled Ravens, you got the Browns now, and I guess kind of year 2 of Deshaun Watson, kind of, and then of course the Bengals, who you guys know by now that I'm obsessed with. Might as well have a poster on my wall of them. So I can't get behind that, guys, that they're going to take this giant step forward, especially the bar being too high with them finishing 9-8 last year.
Yeah, I just don't see it. Like, and everyone kind of running about Kenny Pickett. Can I see a little bit more before I believe that he is the answer with the Pittsburgh Steelers? I mean, I'm not telling you it's not an easy guy to root for, and wearing the gloves and all of that, and what he was with the Pitt Panthers, and teary-eyed after he got drafted. Yeah, I mean the division's loaded right now. They're the worst team in the division. They're not better than the Bengals. They're not better than the Ravens, and they're not better than the Cleveland Browns. Now Tomlin's an unbelievable head coach. The other thing is Allen Robinson stinks. I mean,
can't separate.
I know he couldn't separate last year with the Los Angeles Rams. But what lead me to believe now all of a sudden it's going to change with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and his best days are probably behind him. When he was a member of the Chicago Bears, he had nobody to throw him the football. So. Yeah, BS. I would say BS as well. All right, Burnsy, what's next?
All right. Wide receiver Deshaun Jackson posted a past tense Instagram on Saturday night saying, "Did it my way 15 years strong. Never another like it. One of one." And he decided to use a picture of him on the Baltimore Ravens as the accompanying photograph. Deshaun Jackson is hanging up his cleats for good after 15 years in the NFL. BS or no?
Yes. Well, I think that is true. So I would say no BS. I think Deshaun Jackson, his best days, unbelievable player, electrifying with the Philadelphia Eagles, electrifying at times with Washington, speed all day, made it look easy. Like he looked like it made everyone else look like they were running in quicksand when he was doing his thing, and the ability to make guys miss in the open field. It was almost like playing a game of Madden, watching him play. But I think it's the days are behind Deshaun Jackson being that caliber receiver. So I would think that is true. He is done in the NFL.
With the lack of impact that he's had, you think that he already retired 5 years ago at this point here. That's kind of where I stand with Deshaun Jackson. I will say this, though. That final play against the Giants, what has to be 10 years ago at this
point. Punt?
Yeah, I'll never, ever forget that. It's one of those things where you think the game is just done, and then that happens. And we've seen all the trickery, like the Little Giants annexation of Puerto Rico play. You've seen that done 1,000 times. But when you see it actually work and you see someone actually able to score after that punt, absolutely incredible. So that's one of the things I'll never forget. This story, though, like I said, you would think this guy hasn't been in the league for almost half a decade.
Moose, you'll appreciate this. That punt return for Deshaun Jackson, I was working for MSU Varsity at the time. I was up at the Newburgh Beacon ice hockey rink.
Yeah.
And we were watching in between games. I believe it was a Steve Santini game, who has gone on to play in the NHL a little bit. We were watching in between hockey games, and I was watching Deshaun Jackson do that with a bunch of Giants fans, and I'm not one, so that was fun for me.
Yeah, well, and you're an Eagle fan. Yeah, I was at that game with my dad. So,
yes. Were you really?
Yes, I was at that game with my dad.
Your view is better than mine.
No, it's not that. It's just that it was one of those moments. The great punter Matt Dodge for the Giants, and then Coughlin getting red faced after the game, screaming at him and yelling at him that he punted the ball right down the middle of the field instead of doing a directional punt. And you never saw Matt Dodge in the NFL again.
Yeah.
By the way, Keith, I want to address something you just said, if that's okay. And you said that Moose had a better view than you did. I actually disagree with that. I actually don't like going to football games because I don't think you see enough of what's going on. Unlike the other sports where it's about what's going on the court, I feel like there's just so much to football in a game where when you're at the game, you're missing other storylines. You're missing other things that are happening on the sidelines. It's really hard to get good depth of the field unless you're one of the beautiful people that gets to sit 50-yard line front and center every single game.
I mean, that would probably be Moose, though. I mean, yeah,
I guess
he's a big time baller.
I take back what I said.
Look at that tie. He was sitting. He was Come on.
I was not sitting 50-yard line.
Press box. Press box.
Upstairs with my dad.
Yeah.
I think we were upstairs. Yeah.
That's the one sport, football, the one sport where I'd rather watch it on TV than actually be at the game.
I don't disagree with you there. I think, and I think that what leads to the popularity of the National Football Leagues because it's such a great sport to watch at home, and you don't feel like you're really missing all that much. I think there's a lot of times where you have a better vantage point about what's going on in the game, being able to watch it from home than somebody who is actually at the game.
Yep.
All right, Burnsy.
All right. Packers running back A.J. Dillon went on Sirius XM NFL radio and said that In comparison to other newly minted starting quarterbacks who are coming right out of the college, Love has had 3 years to create long-term bonds with his teammates in Green Bay. Dillon said that this time has resulted in an overwhelmingly positive attitude towards their new signal caller before he's even stepped onto the field. Quote, people trust him. People listen to him when he enters the huddle because it's not like some new guy that just popped up calling the shots. He definitely has all the intangibles. He's earned the trust of the locker room. Guys respect him. Guys want to play for him. Guys want to help him as much as they want to help themselves. Obviously, there's nothing that's perfect in football. Everyone knows that. But I think he's got a lot of support, and everyone would run through a wall for him. Jordan Love has a leg up on most newly minted starting quarterbacks. Yes or no?
Go ahead, Fency.
I mean, newly minted. I mean, that's where I keep getting stuck. So because he's been seasoned, sitting on the bench for the last 3 years, now because he has the support of his teammates, does this all mean that we should expect him to be good right out the chute? I call BS on that. He's going to need time to develop. I'm calling BS on it. Now, the statement itself, of course that he probably has the bonds. He's been sitting there. What else is the guy doing? He's been sitting there and hanging with the second teamers in practice. Of course he has those bonds. That's the true part of it. But to make it like, oh, this guy, he's going to become, nothing's perfect, which was a very key part of that quote from Burnsy. Nothing's perfect. It shows he's going to have his growing pains. You can't expect him to just go out there and just be like one of the best quarterbacks just because he's been in the league learning from the sidelines the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fency nailed it. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what love is. I have no idea what love is on the football field on a lot of different levels. I mean, so yeah.
I want to know what love is.
Yeah, exactly right. I don't know what he is on the football field for the Green Bay Packers. What Fency said is true. Like, I hope he has great relationships with players. And the Green Bay Packers, I think, grew tired, obviously, everything that was going on with Aaron Rodgers, and now they've been thrown trust in the guy that they drafted in the first round, but they've got to figure it out. He's got to figure it out real quick, but I don't know if I'd necessarily say he's ahead of everybody else because he's barely played being the backup to Aaron Rodgers.
Don't know what it'll mean on the field, but yes, Jordan Love is ahead of other QBs because he knows these people for a few years. Burns, you got another one or no?
Yeah. Grant Gordon of NFL.com put out an article on Sunday stating there's a hype train running through Motown and it arrives in Kansas City on September 7th. Reports say Detroit Lions are embracing the hefty hopefulness and extensive expectations for a successful 2023 campaign. Should this season's Lions live up to the hype, they will likewise find historical success along the way, as outlined by NFL research. Should the Detroit Lions live up to the hype this season, they will find historical success. Yes or no?
Yeah, I think they can win the division, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in on the Lions. I am. I think Goff, I think being away from everything in LA, flying under the radar in Detroit, everybody ripping on him for the contract that he got with the Los Angeles Rams. I think he's found a home. Amon St. Brown is a wonderful young wide receiver. I think they're going to be able to run the football. Like Campbell is a motivator. I think there's a lot of things to like about Detroit. And even though they failed, I think here's what it said. I think last year, final week of the regular season, with nothing to play for, going into Green Bay and beating the Packers, where the Packers had a playoff spot on the line, I think set that organization up for success in 2023. So, yeah, I'm very, very bullish on the Detroit Lions this year being a playoff team in the NFC where, outside of Philadelphia, San Francisco, if they have a quarterback, and maybe the Dallas Cowboys, the rest of it isn't all that good.
I think what they, by the way, just to clarify, I think what they mean by having historical success, I don't know if the Detroit Lions have ever won the AFC championship.
So, the NFC.
Yeah. So I think that would be considered historical success.
Right. I don't know if they'll win the NFC, but I think they're a playoff team.
I agree with that.
Yep, I'm there. All right. I know, Burns, you one more. Sneak one more in.
All right. Denver Broncos safety Justin Simmons went on the SiriusXM Blitz with Bill Leckis and Kirk Morrison.
Oh, my God, Bill Leckis. I used to do updates with him. I love Bill Leckis. Go ahead. Sorry.
Doesn't he start all his shows with going, "All right"?
Yes,
he does.
That's
And the voice on him. Bill is my guy. Anyway, sorry.
So went on SiriusXM Blitz with Bill Leckis and Kirk Morrison and praised Wilson for his determination and even credited the Super Bowl champion for helping him improve his own skill set, saying, "I know he's one of the hardest workers, if not the hardest worker I've ever been around and that I've seen." And his
This is Russell Wilson.
Yeah, he's talking about Russell Wilson. This is Broncos safety Justin Simmons. He said, his attention to detail and his preparation has already made me a better player being his teammate. Russell Wilson is one of the hardest workers, or if not,
no, he's the hardest worker. I mean, listen, he doesn't even sit on airplanes. He does calisthenics on the airplanes. Everyone else is sleeping. He's walking up and down the aisles, jumping jacks, push-ups. 100%. I don't believe anything I'm saying, by the way. I'm just having some fun. I don't know. I don't know if he's the hardest worker, but it seems like he's a pretty hard worker.
Yeah, Fensty.
I agree with that. I think that he's an extremely hard worker. And immediately, Keith, what came to mind was what you just mentioned, the calisthenics on the plane there. You can't deny that this guy has had an incredible amount of success. And that, look, a lot of these great quarterbacks, they're going to have bad seasons from time to time. A lot went wrong in Denver. The coaching calls were bad. They suffered some injuries along the way as well, and having players in and out. You can't fully put it on him. And I had him last year, and you would think that I'd have some kind of vengeance. No, they dealt with a lot, Denver, last year.
Yep.
New season, clean slate. We know how good this guy is. And I actually do think he's one of the hardest workers and most concentrated and diligent guys in football.
Yeah, I think they're also in the mode of trying to divert the attention off Russell Wilson as well. So any kind of positive story that can go out there after, let's ride and how he was mocked out and let Russ cook and everything that people were joking around about during the NFL season last year as the Broncos crashed and burned. I think as an organization now, they're going to do whatever they can because they've got no other choice. He's their quarterback to kind of rebuild the brand of Russell Wilson again. So. Fensty, good job, brother. Thanks for hanging out. I mean,
it's been so much fun hanging with you guys again. I mean, after my last appearance when I kind of said Carmelo Anthony shouldn't be a Hall of Famer, I didn't think Keith would ever talk to me again. But
you were just, talking badly about my friend, but it's okay.
I'm sorry, man. You're a good friend, though.
Hey, thank you.
Fensty, have a good day, brother.
Thanks again, guys.
You got it. Well, coming up, Lucy Burdge is going to join the program. She's going to join the program next, right?
I think we're going to try to sneak in some baseball picks quickly.
Correct.
And then Lucy.
You're right. We'll do that next.
Might try to sneak in a few.
It's Moose and Keith with you right here on the Bettor Sports Network.
Breece Hall right now, and I've talked to plenty of high-stakes players. I'm sure you have too, Kev. Had Hall not torn his ACL last year, he might have been the 101 in drafts this year. That's how good he was looking last year, and obviously with the addition of Aaron Rodgers. At the 305, running back 11 behind Derrick Henry and Ramondre Stevenson, right ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs and Najee Harris. Your thoughts on him as a mid-third round pick? How have you been attacking him? Have you been getting him at that spot so far this year?
Yeah, if I start out with two wide receivers, Breece Hall is right at the top of the queue coming into the third. If I knew he'd be healthy for week one, I was still a little.
Well, he'd be going higher than than the mid third.
Right. He may go 101 or RB1 at least.
Yeah.
But I don't think we know that even if he's healthy in spring and the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I still like if I'm running a team, if I'm the coach, I'm bringing him back slow. Like he's on a pitch count. Like I want him for the end of the season because I got Aaron Rodgers for the playoffs, right? Like even if he's fully healthy, I would work him in slow. But that is actually what you want. Like he's still going to get the high value touches. So yeah, if we know he's healthy, he's a first rounder. So like if he's sitting there in the third, especially when I get two wide receivers to start, I'll take Hall all day.
Yeah, it almost makes you think that the uncertainty with Breece Hall has made him unfairly fall too far, right? Like because we're talking about the team here in June, they're still hoping that he's ready for week 1. This is not, oh, we'll see what happens. Oh, we're taking it day by day. Oh, we're liking how he's coming along. No, they still think by week 1. And the fact that we have that timeline, I think maybe bumps him up, especially as the drafting season gets deeper and deeper here in July and August. Maybe we start seeing him go up the boards as well.
All right, Moose, we're back here. Lucy Burdge will join us in a few. We've got a great partnership going on with Real Time Sports Fantasy. And what we're going to be doing is setting some lineups, giving you some options here. And if you go into the daily lineup page there, you can do the entry fees. There's $1 leagues, $2, $5, $10, $20, $25, $50, and $100. And then obviously you get a prize there too. You got to pick a certain amount of players. You have to pick 2, and then you get total points based on how well you do in this. So I know we got Burnsy just showing you this the page just so you could see. All right.
Yeah.
So why don't we do this for fun here as a show? Okay. So Burnsy, you pick it on your end, and you actually input it on your end on the screen. Moose and I will pick something from a few games. So let's go Brewers and Phillies first. You got Julio Teheran on the mound. You got Aaron Nola on the mound for Philadelphia. I'm very high on one specific player here. So if I could I have this game, please?
Yeah.
Sure. All right. Bryce Harper is probably going to end up being my walk-off winner on Bettor's Eye today. He's one of my top plays, 5-game hitting streak, absolutely on fire. Also on fire against Julio Teheran. He's got 9 career home runs against him. So I will take the over 1.5 total bases for Bryce Harper. And I wouldn't be mad at you if you wanted to go the over 5.5 fantasy points as well.
All right, we're going to go White Sox Mets in Queens. Giolito, Carrasco, Cookie, your starters tonight in that game. I'm going to go to Brandon Nimmo, half a total run. I'm going to go more than half a total run in tonight's game between the White Sox and the Mets.
I could rock with you on that one. All right, so that's 2. So again, if you were doing this, that would mean you're good. Technically, you could submit your lineup and you don't need to do more games. We're going to give you a little bit more, though. I don't want to just do the bare minimum. I was trying to find out Yankees, Angels. There is no Ohtani on there right now. The Red Sox and the A's, I'm all in on Rafi Devers today if he plays, but that's not on there as well. So let's go to, I need another game here. All right, let's go to Arizona and Atlanta. Let me go Matt Olson. I'm going to go over 1.5 total bases, and he's been doing this pretty routinely this season so far. He's got 30 home runs on the year. I'm pulling up my number. 3-game hitting streak, 2 or more bases in 3 of his last 4 games. Also has a pair of home runs over his last 8 games. So I will take Matt Olson over 1.5 total bases. Why don't you give us one more? And I think that's enough for.
Yeah, we're going to go the Nats in Chicago taking on the Cubs. First pitch is 8:05. Jameson Taillon on the mound tonight against Patrick Corbin. We're going to go to Taillon, 4 strikeouts. I'm going to go more than 4 strikeouts tonight. Even though he's not been great this year, Jameson Taillon more than 4 strikeouts.
Jameson Taillon, 4 more strikeouts. He has done that in 3 consecutive, and also actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of his last 8. So there you go. That's a pretty good one.
I like that.
Hey guys, if I can tell you, I'm doing this because you guys are doing the show right now, but this is incredibly easy. It's super straightforward. We're doing it live on the show right now. How much easier could it be?
No.
Yeah, pretty cool.
All right, there you go. Some selections there for tonight in Major League Baseball. Some suggestions tonight, I should say, for Major League Baseball. When you're looking at some selections as you wake up here on this Tuesday morning, and the Yankees, after an unbelievable loss last night against the Angels, are in last place in the American League East, and they've had back-to-back brutal extra inning losses, one against the Colorado Rockies, which might be the worst loss of the season. And then, amazingly enough, Aaron Boone last night decides to walk Shohei Ohtani to load the bases earlier in the game, gets out of it, then decides to pitch to Shohei Ohtani as he has a 2-run lead, 3-1, and Ohtani ends up hitting an opposite field home run to tie the game up at 3, and the Yankees end up losing the game 4-3. Let's welcome aboard right now. That's got to make her smile, the fact that the Yankees are sitting in last place. Lucy Burdge,
in the World Series.
Sports betting at Audacy, sports betting analyst for Audacy Sports. BetQL, check her out there. Joins the program on a pretty regular basis. Good morning, Lucy. How are you?
Good morning. I am giddy today and just so happy to see both of you. And I am very, very happy about where the Yankees are in the standings right now. And that game last night was extra sweet because that Ohtani home run was one that I picked yesterday. So that was to sweep all my bets yesterday. All I needed was a Shohei Ohtani home run, and boy, did he ever come through. The bat flip itself is something, I am going to spank bank that. That is something I will keep with me forever. That bat flip alone.
There are
Good morning,
good morning. There are so many avenues to go with this home run prop thing that you are now pushing. All right, so following you along, listen, you give out 4, 5, 6 plays a day sometimes. You're like 300 and something and 300 and something, your record, whatever. You started giving out home runs and you're hitting them. And I noticed that on social media, they were trying to come up with names for you. And being that you just went where you went there, so have you landed on the Queen of what?
Well, I think Queen of Dongs is what we're going with. I mean, there was somebody said Queen of Dingers, something. I was like, I think that the Queen of Dongs is very fitting. And one of the BetQL hosts, PJ Glasser, called me Lucy Longball is another one. If you want to go that direction, but yeah, I think the Queen of Dongs is what we're going with here. I think Dingers is overused. Why don't we go with that?
I'm afraid to see what the graphic is going to look like.
The Queen of Dongs.
Yeah, that's a term that is used for
it is
Queen of home runs. I mean, come on, Queen of Dongs. It's just I think that's put that on a shirt. I think it's good.
It would
I
sell.
don't think I'll be wearing that shirt to the beach.
Wear that out of context and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Just walk down the street like, huh? What?
Excuse me.
Hey, this is sports gambling. Isn't everybody in on this? What are we doing?
Exactly
Goodness.
Yeah, baseball is what it is. It's not.
Lucy, there's a lot to get into with you. Number one is you sent out a tweet. You have not seen a Tom Cruise movie?
Oh, I have not ever in my life seen a Tom Cruise movie.
That's an impossibility.
See, people, it's a Mission Impossible. See, I don't get that reference. I've never seen one of those movies. But I realized this last year, I was talking to somebody about movies and realized I had never seen any of the Tom Cruise movies that were being mentioned. And then I thought about it and I was like, wait, I've never seen, went through his whole filmography, I've never seen Tropic Thunder. I've never seen a single Tom
Austin
Cruise
Powers
movie.
Goldmember he was in.
It's not a Tom Cruise movie though.
But he's in it.
Oh, you're kidding.
He's in it.
Oh, I've seen a movie Tom Cruise is in. Maybe I've never seen that movie.
I knew I'd win this game.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, I guess I could retire that. But it was weird because I've never seen Mission Impossible. I've never seen. My mom loves Tom Cruise, and I've never seen except for Austin Powers.
He was in Young Guns.
Never seen that. Wait, Austin Powers Goldmember is the first Austin Powers, right?
No, it's the third.
Oh, I've never seen that one. I've only seen the first and half of the second.
So wait, Tom Cruise wasn't in Young Guns?
According to this, he was.
I've never seen that either.
I'm looking right now. He had a bit part in Young Guns.
With Emilio Estevez?
Yeah, apparently he had a bit part in Young Guns. Yeah,
It must have been a really bit part. I don't even remember him being in that.
No,
movie.
me neither. Young Guns 1 and Young Guns 2 was amazing.
Yeah, I watched that. Young Guns 1 was great. Regulators, Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez.
Regulators.
Wait,
what's up,
Lucy?
Regulators was in the beginning of a song. It was like a Warren
Mount
G
Up.
song.
It was a clear
Mount Up.
black
That's it. Yes. Yes.
Warren G
Yeah,
was
well,
on the
that's
street
from Young Guns.
I've never seen it.
Wait, Lucy, you've never seen The Outsiders?
No.
Did you read The Outsiders in
I
school?
have the book somewhere, and I remember I started to read it, and I thought, "Is this for middle schoolers? Should I read this?" But I read
Rain Man.
No, I've never seen Rain Man.
The Color of Money.
Nope.
The Firm.
Nope.
Eyes Wide Shut. Jerry Maguire, you're into sports.
I've never seen Jerry Maguire.
But why? Is there a
I
reason
just
you
never.
haven't?
No, it's just
Okay.
it's never been on when I turn
Well, what
on.
movies are you watching then?
Well, here's the
Like,
thing. People are like, "This is unbelievable." I've seen every Mary-Kate and Ashley movie.
So one of their movies?
Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen?
Yeah. Oh, I was obsessed with them growing up. I wanted to. I made people call me Ashley at one point. I was so obsessed. Never seen A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men? You've never seen?
I've seen every Melissa Joan Hart movie. Every Mary-Kate.
You've seen
movie.
the courtroom scene of A Few Good Men, though, right?
Like the scene.
You've never seen the
scene. Handle the truth.
You can't. Handle...
I know that that's the reference.
You know the line.
Yes, you can't handle the truth.
Right.
But if I had,
am I being clear, Crystal?
Yeah. Do you know that our friend Adnan Verk would routinely tell you that Tom Cruise is the biggest sham in Hollywood?
Well, maybe he is.
He's a horrible actor.
Yeah. Well, maybe I wouldn't know, but I do know. I have seen his work on, I think it was Oprah when he was jumping on the couch. I remember that whole thing. I was very invested in that as a preteen.
So this isn't a anti Tom Cruise thing. It just happens to be.
I just happened to never see one, which is crazy. Even my mom texted me. She was like, "Wait, how did this happen?"
So I guess you won't be doing Scientology.
I will not be. No, I know that. I know everything about him. I've just never seen any of his movies. And my mom loved Top Gun. So she was like, "How did this happen?" But Patrick Swayze, she also loves. So I've seen Patrick Swayze.
Does your mom feel like she failed a little bit?
Like she jokes, she was like, "Yeah, a little bit, yeah." But it happened to just like I've just gone through life, just never running into it.
What is your mother's first name?
Catherine.
Hey, Catherine, I would like you to know I'm with you. Yes, your daughter is amazing. She's doing very well in this career, but you did fail just a little bit.
She is on Twitter, so she could see this.
Okay,
she'll love it.
Do you guys get on social media like what on this day? Do you realize that 15 years ago today, Dark Knight came out with Heath Ledger as the Joker?
I never saw that either.
Oh, come on!
Oh, stop!
I know. I remember where I was when he died, but I don't remember ever seeing that movie. Like I know everything about him.
I gotta be honest. Like,
never seen that movie.
What's the best movie you've ever seen besides Mary-Kate and Olsen?
10 Things I Hate About Her.
I've
something.
I've seen that one. I've seen a lot of.
Can't Hardly Wait.
Can't Hardly Wait. Melissa Joan Hart has
You're right. Yes, she was like that. She kept trying to get her yearbook signed.
Yep, exactly. So I've seen actually 90s movies, 80s movies.
Breakfast Club.
I love Breakfast Club. One of my favorite movies. I've seen 16 Candles and Ferris Bueller. Love those movies, but I never. Robin Williams movies I've seen a ton of.
I've never seen The Notebook. I said that in hour number 1.
I watched The Notebook once in my life, and I never really I watched it on a plane, and I've never watched it again.
My wife has not watched The Notebook either. Like most times when I say to someone that I've never seen The Notebook, how has your wife not made you watch The Notebook? I'm like, she never saw it either.
Yeah, I could see that. It's not really in my it's just not part of my everyday life. It's just not. I never saw Frozen either. So, but I know the song.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Right. Yes, but I never saw the movie.
Okay.
No, that's like, Frozen's great.
Oh, God.
Disney movies. I'm going to Disney next. I can't wait. I'm going to Disney next month.
Oh no way!
We're going to Universal and Disney.
Universal's better than Disney.
Universal.
I don't think so.
Don't add on that. No,
we're going to Universal first for 2 nights, and then 3 nights, and then Disney for 5 nights.
Yeah, your kids are not going to like Disney because of it. Your kids are going to love Universal so much.
The big thing is Jackson wants to make his own lightsaber. So they have like this whole thing, but it's $300.
Ooh. Will Jackson go on the big roller coasters? He's old enough.
I don't
10
know.
years old. He's big enough.
I don't know. He's big enough. He might be a little scared. But everything is so ridiculously expensive.
Oh God! And then waiting in line too. It's
get the pass.
You have to pay extra for the pass.
Pay for it. It's worth it.
No, I understand, but you have to. But not only do you have to. So not only do you have to pay for the park ticket, then you have to pay for the pass, and then there's certain rides you have to pay extra for as well.
Oh my God!
Pay, especially. And Disney was a little different, but Universal, I will tell you this: we paid that pass for the day, and we got on everything we wanted to get on and more in one full day. Otherwise, you probably would have gotten on like maybe a third of those rides. Just do it, especially with 3 young boys that you have. They will be absolutely miserable, and you will want to pull out all your hair. I actually had a full head of hair before we went. You will pull out all your hair.
Yeah, it seems like, you have to expect to pay now so much money just for, it makes it a better experience, I would think. I went to Disney when I was little, but it was like, I remember the year we first went, I was really, really little. Like it was the 25th anniversary of Disney. And now it's like the 50th anniversary. And I was like, oh my God, it has been that long. But it was back then, like it wasn't like this. It wasn't like the app that, of course, that like shows you the wait time for lines. And seems like it's so expensive, but worth it if you get to do everything you want to do.
Lucy, what's been really profitable with you besides the being the queen of dongs? What has been the most profitable?
Only Dongs website coming up. I just give out bets. I give out home run props. Only Dongs.
What has been real profitable for you this year in baseball?
Well, K-props. K-props and total. I mean, that alone, that subscription site is going to go.
Yeah, it's going to be very lucrative.
Profitable. I know K-props and total bases are my other 2 favorites because those hit quite a bit of yesterday being an example of that. But like today, I've got a couple total bases. Shohei, I don't know about, and yet because we don't know if he's playing, but the Red Sox not announcing their pitchers yesterday and today is throwing me off. I need the odds for the Red Sox game. But like today, I've got Bryce Harper to hit a home run.
Yep.
Because Bryce Harper today is the bet to take. But I also have JD Martinez to hit a home run. Austin Riley total bases today as well. And then Aaron Nola over 6.5 Ks today. So I've been going more with total bases. Yesterday, I had a parlay of Justin Turner and Tristan Casas to each get a hit. That hit too. So hits, total bases, K props. I love those.
Yeah, I saw yesterday. So you had Devers like I did, and then we both had to pivot. I literally, so we're going on Bettor's Eye. It's 5:54, and Jessica Brand, my lead researcher, and so she says in my ear, Devers out of the lineup. He was my walk-off winner. I'm like, all right, guys, what are we gonna do? We got to pivot. So I ended up pivoting to Freddie Freeman, which ended up working. He had a monster night last night. So even tonight, like I look at Devers, if he's in the lineup, I'm in on Devers. If he's not, do you go did you go Duran yesterday?
I pivoted. My pivot also worked out. Jaron Duran over 1.5 total bases. First at bat, quickest bet to hit ever. Double. So that was really nice that he hit right away. But the Red Sox lineup has been hot lately. So it's kind of like with the Braves. When I look at the Braves lineup, when I look at total bases or hits or whatever, it's kind of like pick your best. Like it's just pick any of them. Kind of with the Red Sox lineup right now, they're all hitting. Against the Cubs, they had like 1 million home runs, just home run after home run. So total bases, even Tristan Casas, Duvall, Tristan Casas, Connor Wong. I mean, you name it. It's just all of them are on fire right now.
So are you messing with the hits, runs, RBI prop yet?
Not yet. See that one. Oh, wrapping my head around that. Okay. I got to wrap my head around this.
All right. So the reason why you're going to like this one is because, and I've been toying with this for the last couple of weeks because you and I both love total base props. How many times have you had someone, let's make it Rafael Devers. Yeah. Okay. He gets a single, scores 2 runs, and has 2 walks. And you're like, I lost. Yeah. That sucks. Now with this hits, runs, RBIs, your total base prop might have been plus 105, minus 110, minus 105, something like this. Hits, runs, RBIs usually more like minus 145, minus 150. So not as much bang for your buck, but there's this safety valve there. I'm really enjoying it.
That actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, of course it makes sense, but
a Yordan Alvarez, like those kind of guys that Juan Soto is perfect for this. He walks twice and scores twice and you still win.
Yes. Oh, I like that. I'm going to look at
start messing with it a little bit.
Okay. I am because I need to, once I start doing this, it's like, okay, what else is next? So I always want to take that next step. So I love that. I'm going to do that.
What is Lucy, what did you tweet out last night about Fenway Park? What are they building outside the Monster?
Oh my God. So this, not just the Monster, the entire area is now going to be very sterile and very like every other city. So they say it will take about 8 to 10 years to build. So I'm not super worried about it right now, but it is called Fenway Corners and the city of Boston has approved it for the Fenway Group to rebuild the entire Fenway neighborhood, which right now is in bits and pieces being rebuilt. So I walk to Target. My walk to Fenway is like 10 minutes. It's a pretty nice walk. Target's right past there. So my Target, I walk by Fenway maybe once, twice a week. And that Target, and then there's like apartment buildings, very like glass building type of apartment buildings that are there. Very nice. But there are parts of it that you can still see Fenway. There are older buildings that are a little bit run down, parking lots, stuff like that. What they want to do is build cafes, make the team store enormous, kind of like it looks like Wrigley maybe, or like an NFL stadium outside of that. It's nice in theory, but somebody brought up this point on Twitter when I tweeted this too, is the view of Fenway from different parts of the city. You can see the lights, you can see Fenway. You probably won't be able to now. You will be able to see Fenway when you're in it. So the character of the city is going to change. It's going to be very shopping and like sandwich places and like super like high-end place. It's going to old like the Cask and Flagon, like other bars that are around Fenway. I don't know what's going to happen to those. It's going to be very sterilized, but the monster thing, that one I have an issue with, because that is part of the park. When they put in the MGM theater, but credit out to BetMGM, I do like this very much. They're also thinking about a sports book, by the way, which actually would be awesome. But they increase the size of Fenway by putting in a theater for concerts. And I at first was like, oh no, because when you turn the corner on the street, you see Fenway. But now it's the theater, then a little bit of Fenway. You get used to it. This monster thing is going to change the look of Fenway itself and change the view from your seats at Fenway. So that part, big issue with. It's going to be, I don't even know, a hotel or apartments or something behind the green monster. Not a fan of that. That's going to change everything.
Will they get rid of the Sitco sign?
That I think they will keep, but the view of it, I'm worried about. Because you got to see
what's the vibe about this? I mean, you're the voice of Boston right now.
Yeah.
But what's the vibe there?
Well, I think people are split, because what I have seen is if you don't like these changes, you are an old head, and why not support progress? And I thought that at first too. I was like, oh, it's very nice to build up the city and make it more modern. But then you really look at it and look at how in motion this would work. And I'm not a fan of it. I think a lot of people are starting to, like, you see the initial plans, you're like, oh, it looks nice. And then you actually think about it, you're like, how much would change? People about parking. People are arguing about parking. And would there be more parking? That would be great. No parking there right now. I walk there, so I don't really have that issue. So that's not my argument with it, but I could see that for sure. You're a family, you're going to Fenway. Is it going to get more expensive because of this? People are starting to try to come to terms with it, because it's going to happen. But right now, I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think one thing I do love, the fact that Boston did and Chicago did at Wrigley Field, even with the adjustments and maybe adding modern amenities that change a little bit of the vibe or the look around the ballpark, is something the Yankees did not do, which, Yankees tore it down. And I understand they had already rebuilt it. It wasn't exactly the stadium, or wasn't the stadium that Babe Ruth played in, but they instead of doing what Wrigley and Fenway did, the Yankees just built a whole new ballpark. I mean, the fact that Fenway's still there and Wrigley's still there is just utterly fantastic.
See, this is a good point. If your options are tear down Fenway, move the whole ballpark, or this, 100% I'm taking this. I mean, if you tear down Fenway, you're taking me with it. I will stand in that rubble and you have to bulldoze me over, because I don't want to live in a world where Fenway Park doesn't exist. That I would die before I ever see that day. Oh my, because I can't think of the image of watching them tear down Fenway Park.
Yeah.
It would kill me. It would kill me. So that I would rather have them build up around it than take it down. That's a fair point. So if those are your options, yeah, I would take this.
Moose, do you have any more sports-related questions for Lucy? Because I have a game to play with her.
No, that's it.
All right, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Lucy, here you go. I'm going to read you a quote, and you're going to tell me who said it. Okay?
Okay.
Here we go. Nothing ends nicely. That's why it ends.
I heard this recently, and I don't know. And what is this? Is it all from
all movie related?
Oh, movie. Okay.
I'm sorry, all movie related.
Tom Cruise.
You're right. That is correct. Wow. All right.
Look at that.
I don't care who you are. Life has challenges.
Brad Pitt.
No, Tom Cruise. I go without sleep. I just go hard.
Tom Cruise.
You're right. Yeah, Tom Cruise. Individuals have to decide what is true and real for them.
Tom Cruise.
Oh my goodness, you are right.
Wow, isn't that incredible? I've never seen one of his movies.
Talk is overrated as means of settling disputes.
Tom Cruise. Was that A Few Good Men?
I don't know. I love kids. I was a kid myself once.
Oh, that's from Daddy Daycare, I believe. No, Tom Cruise.
It is Tom Cruise. Yes, I'm gonna stop now. See, Tom Cruise.
Wow, I know all the quotes.
What we just learned is that you love Tom Cruise.
You love Tom.
I love him. I love him so much. I don't want to watch any of his movies.
Lucy, last one for me would be this: is outside of Tom Cruise, are you one that vacations and leaves the Northeast during the summer, or are you one that leaves the Northeast in the winter?
Winter, and that's what I did this year. In the winter, I went to Florida, and then now I took a week off around 4th of July. Stayed in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, in the Northeast.
I've learned this.
Yeah.
Lucy's an old soul. That made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I am going to Miami in September, so maybe I'll get a little wild, and it'll be like
Go to a Dolphins game. Go to
Oh,
a Dolphins game.
Maybe I'll be there for 4 days. I'll be there on a Monday and a Thursday.
Oh,
but
no,
I
that
don't know.
doesn't
Yeah, probably not going to work. But yeah, so maybe that'll be a different type
Go
of
to a
event.
Marlins game.
Yeah, maybe I will. I'll have some time. I'm actually going with my mom. She has a conference, so I'm just going with her.
Oh,
I've
beautiful.
been to Miami, so I'll be exploring a little. She wants
The
me to help out.
Burdge is on the road.
She wants me to meet all of her like conference friends and like set up. And I was like, Mom, there are 11 pools at this hotel. I will be at the pool or the beach.
You'll be enjoying.
Tell them to come meet me at the pool if they'd like, and
I will
they
be
can buy me a drink.
Yes, I will be doing my Jersey Shore season 2 tour of Miami. That's what I'll be doing. I'm gonna do everything they did.
Beat up
Yeah.
the beat.
Yeah, hell yeah.
All right,
Lucy, what's your best bet tonight? Is what?
Okay, so my best bet, besides Bryce Harper, because that's very basic right now, I'm gonna go with JD Martinez to hit a home run. I feel the vibes on that very strongly. So that's gonna be my best bet for today.
I like it.
Lucy, you're the best. We appreciate the time. Thanks for cutting it out here on this Tuesday morning. Have a good rest of your summer. We'll talk again soon, all right?
Thank you. I'll talk again soon.
Goodbye, Queen.
You guys are the best. Thank you. Queen of Dong signing off. Thank you.
Dude, when someone wrote that on social and she she loved it, I'm like, oh my God.
The Queen of Dongs.
Queen of Dongs.
That's amazing.
That
is amazing. We didn't hit upon it before. We got a couple minutes left to play with, and that is Joel Embiid.
Yes.
What did you make of it? I don't know if we have this sound from, or what did you make of what Joel Embiid in his interview? Let's play it. Here's Embiid talking about his future in Philadelphia.
As you get ready and get prepared for the season, big off season for you, launched your company, getting married, won the MVP. What can we expect from you going forward? I mean, that's a lot to do all in 1 year. It's incredible, but you're capable of a lot. I know it because of your skill and your brain, but what can we look forward from Joel Embiid?
I just want to win a championship. Whatever it takes. I don't know where that's going to be, whether it's in Philly or, anywhere else. I just want to have a chance to accomplish that. I want to see what it feels like to win that first one and then think about, the next one. It's not easy, but, it takes more than, 1, 2, 3 hours. You gotta have, good people around you, and like myself, every single day I work hard to, be at that level, so I can produce and make it happen. So every single day, that's working towards that goal. That's where my mindset has always been. MVP is just an added bonus, and it's not
cool added bonus.
It's amazing. I know a lot of people take it for granted, but there's not a lot of people that get to have that opportunity to be called the MVP of the league. So I was extremely happy about it, excited about it, but the championship helps. That.
Yeah, there you have it. I mean, that's Embiid. Was it Maverick Carter that he did
Yeah,
an interview last Thursday about his time in Philadelphia and where he is right now? I think it's him enacting a little bit of pressure on the Philadelphia 76ers. He wants to try and win. Do I necessarily think that he's definitively on the move, say after the season comes to an end. No, he wants to win, but it also falls on him not being able to accomplish that goal either, whether it be staying healthy or as Doc Rivers has talked about, making guys around him better.
Yeah, the Uninterrupted has been a very useful vehicle for many athletes to push their own narratives. And I think that Joel Embiid took the chance there to subtly say to upper management in Philadelphia, without having to say it directly to them, build a winner around me. Like, I'm a superstar. I'm an MVP. I'm one of the best 5 or 6 players in the NBA. I want to be in Philadelphia. I want to win a championship for Philadelphia, but I want to win a championship in general. So let's do this. Otherwise, I might be on the move. And then I know he had some fun with social media saying that his nickname or middle name is Troll on all of his accounts. I think that was a post thing. Like, he's like, maybe I should just act like I was trolling just for fun.
Yeah. I listen, could Embiid get moved here at some point in time? For sure. Or force his way out of Philadelphia for sure. I don't think it's happening right now.
No.
I don't. Keith, it's been a blast. Bernsey, great job. Our guests, Fensty and Lucy Burdge, for joining us. You guys in the chat session, we appreciate you. We love you. Jessica Brandt, great to obviously hear from you. And Keith, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, all right?
You too. Good luck at the dentist, and have some fun at work later, all right?
All right. We'll see you next Tuesday at 10 right here on the Bettor Sports Network.